Please welcome Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Secretary Pete Buttigieg, welcome back to the Daily Show. It's weird though, because I've known you for so long as Mayor Pete. Everyone knows you as Mayor Pete.
I'll always answer to Mayor Pete.
Oh, you will?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
so you won't get offended. You won't be like, no, it's Secretary Mayor Pete now. No?
That works too.
Okay, okay. Well, congratulations on the new job. We haven't seen you since you've gotten it. You know, it's been a lively period for you to be in this position. Let's start with the most important question, maybe.
Yeah.
There was a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill that was passed.
That's
yes,
right.
if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah.
So that's taxpayer money, and everyone paid for that and infrastructure. You're the person who's doing a lot of the infrastructure. So where's our money, Pete? What's happening? What are you doing with the money?
Well, it's going great. Last week we announced a use of part of the money in order to make more transit stations accessible. A couple weeks before that, we put out the first wave of airport terminal grants. We're improving 84 airport terminals around the country. This morning I was in New Jersey. There's a bridge there, the Portal North Bridge. All right, a couple folks here might recognize it. This bridge, it's the finest construction engineering from the Roosevelt administration, the Teddy Roosevelt administration.
Wow.
It is 111 years old. And when they swing it back into place, sometimes it works so poorly that workers have to take sledgehammers in order to get the rails to align.
Damn.
We're rebuilding the bridge completely. We broke ground on it this morning with the governor, and it's just one of a lot of more things we're doing.
Sounds really
with
exciting.
This. It's everything that we've wanted for a long time in American infrastructure. After years and years of talk, the last president talked a good game about this. Now we're actually getting it done.
Okay, so let's talk about what you're getting done, how you're getting it done, and why. It's interesting that you say that. This is something I find particularly strange in American politics. Everybody likes infrastructure. However, it seems like people are more or less likely to like it depending on who is building the infrastructure. So to your point, Trump said from the he's like, I want to improve America's infrastructure. People are like, this is great. And then when Biden says, it feels like a lot of Republicans have said, oh no, we don't like it. We don't like where you're spending the money, how you're spending the money. When you go to these actual communities, because that's what infrastructure affects, the actual communities, do you find that it is still as partisan, or when you get on the ground, does it have more of just an American feel to it?
No, in the communities, it's incredibly bipartisan. I'm in red states, blue states, purple states. People don't care about the party of the president. They want to get the job done. I was in one of the reddest parts of Indiana, southern Indiana, where we're upgrading a port in a tiny community called Tell City. About 7,000 people in that whole community. And the port is on the river. It's actually just a crane on a barge, basically. We're upgrading that. We went there to celebrate what that's going to do to help them get pig iron that comes in on barges on the river. And not a single person asked me about Republican Democrat stuff among the residents there. They were just excited. Now, there were a lot of people on Capitol Hill who voted no. Although I will say quite a few Republicans came over and voted with Democrats to get this done. What I will also say is a lot of the ones who voted against it have not hesitated to write us letters about how they'd now like that funding to go to their districts, which I take to be and we're going to do this without regard to politics. I just consider it in policy world, I'd call it the sincerest form of flattery. When they vote against your stuff,
right.
and then they ask you
to come and do the stuff that they voted against. It is an interesting position to be in because, as a secretary, in many ways, you have to remove the politics from your job, even though you are fulfilling the mandate of a person who is inherently political. You're going around the country, you're improving the roads, you're trying to change how America operates. One of the biggest things we've seen recently is Senator Joe Manchin jumping on board and saying, okay, let's get some of this money going for, what is it now, the
Inflation Reduction Act.
Inflation Reduction Act, great. And it seems like there's still a lot of tension around EVs, electric vehicles. I've seen some of your clips online, they get cut up, people splice it, they make it seem like you're saying what you're not saying. I won't cut you up, but I would like to know, why is the electric vehicle a better option for Americans if there are people who are saying, well, this is our taxes, why don't we just use the taxes for other purposes? Why force that money to go into the world of electric cars?
Right. So first of all, it's a very important part of how we fight climate change, because transportation is the biggest sector in our economy that's emitting these greenhouse gases. But also, it's better for drivers. You spend less money on gas, even with normal gas prices, there would be a savings to having an electric vehicle. And there's less maintenance. So it's a win-win-win. Plus, This is where the automotive industry is going anyway, globally. So it's really important to make sure that we're competing, that our competitiveness is such that this is a made in America electric vehicle revolution. Now, it's more ideological than it should be on Capitol Hill. But again, you know, the same constituents who are watching this back and forth on Capitol Hill, they're also seeing the Super Bowl ads. They know what an EV actually costs. And hopefully they're seeing that we're about to bring that cost lower through the Inflation Reduction Act. So some of the same politicians who were beating us up about EVs, saying they're too expensive, they have a chance coming up to vote to make them cheaper. We'll see what they do.
When you look at the improvements in American infrastructure, you look at the cars, you look at the trains, I'm constantly amazed at how just in the American idea, trains seem to be a completely alien concept. You know, when you travel to Europe, you see what they're doing with the trains. I mean, Japan was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. You just get anywhere on a train almost instantly. And in America, people almost, you know, make it seem like it's un-American to not drive a car and prefer a train. I know when Obama came into power, he said we should get high-speed rail going. That was completely thrown out. You are the transportation secretary. Are you focusing on that? Is there a world where we'll get like super fast trains that take people across the country to rural parts of the country? Like, will it revitalize the country?
Yeah, and we're taking the first steps in that direction right now. Look, I thought I was the biggest train person I know, but in this administration, I'm always going to be second place after the president when it comes to enthusiasm for passenger rail. Look, frankly, the first order of business is to take care of what we've got. We've got a huge backlog because there's been a lot of resistance to investing in our rail networks. But we also have
Where's the resistance coming from?
You know, some of it's ideological, some of it's cultural, but the way I see it is, why shouldn't Americans have the best rail in the world? If we're a competitive country and we believe that we ought to be the best in everything. You know, you mentioned that the standard that a Japanese, I mean, never mind just the Japanese standard. If you're in Italy or Morocco or Turkey, you can routinely expect faster rail service than in the US. We can and must change that, and it begins with what we're doing with this
Because
bill.
sometimes I'll be driving, let's say I'll be driving from like the airport, and we're going to talk about airports as well. Driving from the airport, coming into New York City, and then I'll be driving past people in a train, and I see them looking at the cars going, but we're in a train, and I'm in the traffic like, you guys are in a train. They should be going faster than me, right? The logic...
That is how that generally should work.
It should work that way.
Faster.
Why isn't it going that way? What's going wrong?
Because you get what you pay for. And this country, for basically as long as you and I have been alive, has been under-investing in rail.
I see.
And when you do that, there is a real cost to that. And by the way, it's a win-win when you do it, because if you do have great rail, that's even good for the people who are in the cars, because there's less congestion on the road. Same reason we're investing in transit right now. It makes all the sense in the world. It always did, but that much more now that we're facing this climate challenge.
You're not just investing in transit, though, you're investing in the roads themselves. I know you made headlines when, and correct me if I paraphrase you incorrectly, but I mean, you basically said that America's roads are racist, right?
Not exactly what I said.
Okay, not exactly what... No. So
no, but
because I understood what you're saying, but say
it. But the point is, look, there are many places in the U.S. where a road or a railroad was used to divide or segregate or even remove a neighborhood, typically a black neighborhood.
I completely understand.
I mean, the very fact that we have the phrase "wrong side of the tracks" in American English language tells you something about how infrastructure, which is supposed to connect, can also be used to divide, often on racial lines. And we've got to face that, and we can do something about it.
What can you do about that? Are you going to rip up the roads? This is what people say. They say Pete Buttigieg is coming. He's going to rip up the highways. There's going to be no more highways anymore. Everyone's just going to be on back roads. No more highways. Look, what are you actually planning to do to try and right many of those wrongs?
So what we're doing is, now that we're making the biggest investment in highways and roads since the Eisenhower administration, we're going to get it right. And that includes recognizing that infrastructure is supposed to connect, not divide. Some places that might mean that you've got a road that's cutting up a neighborhood. It needs to go underground, and then you can put a cap over it, and then you can put a park in that cap and create value in the whole neighborhood. Sometimes it doesn't have to be as elaborate and expensive as that. Maybe it's creating a transit link or a pedestrian bridge. It's going to look different in every community, but the point is, every community is coming to us with ideas about how to do this. And the thing is, everybody wins when we do this. Nobody's worse off when we reconnect areas that have been separated or segregated. And I don't know why anybody would be against us doing that when the whole point of transportation is to connect, not to divide.
Well, I think the reason a lot of people would be against it is almost self-explanatory, you know? People want to be here, and they want other people to be there. The airports is something I definitely want to talk to you about. This is a weird situation. I know you tweeted about it, and I know Senator Elizabeth Warren came out saying, like, this is what we should do. We should fine the airlines. Anyone who's flown knows how difficult it can be. The airline can almost do anything to you with impunity. They can cancel your flight. They can delay your flight 10 times and then cancel it. Then they'll tell you, we won't give you the money. We'll give you a credit, and then your credit may be used, maybe not be used.
Yeah. So this is important. A little bit of news you can use.
Okay.
If they cancel your flight, you are entitled to a cash refund, and we enforce that rule. A lot of people don't know that. So you get canceled, you call the airline, they're like, well, we'll give you 2,000 miles. How's that sound? And that might sound good. That's worth about $20. And you are entitled to potentially hundreds of dollars in refunds.
But I'm entitled, but how do I actually get that? Like, do I send you? Do you go, like, do something? How do we make this happen?
Call me up.
No, because people are getting their flights canceled and they don't know how do you, how do we use the enforcement?
Yeah, so first of all, when you ask them to give you a refund, they have to do it. But if they don't, come to us. We have an entire Office of Aviation Consumer Protection. We enforce this. Matter of fact, and we were doing it, it wasn't just a this summer thing. Last year, we actually issued the biggest fine in the history of the program because an airline was failing to promptly refund people. We got a website, you can go to the DOT website and look up more about your rights as an air consumer. But know your rights because we have your back.
I like that. Okay, send Pete. That's what the people should say, send Pete. Last but not least, you know, midterms are coming up. People are, it's America, people are looking at 2024 already. It was interesting because a new New Hampshire poll came out recently, which had you slightly edging President Biden in the race for 2024. Now, I know you are secretary, so you can't say anything about that, and it's political, and you're not, obviously, he's your boss, you're not going to say anything bad, and you won't, but and if I say to you, are you going to run? No, and if I say, are you going to run, you wouldn't say you're going to run or whatever, but I just want to know, when you see a poll like that, does it give you a little more swag in meetings with the president? Does it give you like a little, like if he says something to him, are you ever like, yo, Joe, like, is there ever like a...
Look, if I want to look good in front of my boss, the best thing I can do is have just broken ground on a major project like we did today in New Jersey. That's going to be my focus because that's my job.
So slick! So good at what you do. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. Keep building roads, faster trains. Pete Buttigieg, everybody.